We're up here in northern Wisconsin, actually Walleyes County to be exact, and I'm here with my good friend Daryl Christensen and Marty Clauson. Daryl and I got together earlier this year and we talked about a show that we did in the UP of Michigan, actually near the start of the Next Bite television program. That's been like 10 years ago, and it's been about that long since we've shared the boat together. Daryl talked to his buddy Marty, and we decided to make a trip of it, a weekend trip in Wisconsin. This is actually going to be a teaching show. We're going to show you how to locate fall walleyes on these small lakes and the techniques on how to catch them. So come with us while we get the next bite.
Just looking for the next bite, next bite, just looking for the next bite. Yes, we
We'll continue to show you the next bite.
Jigs with creek chub minnows are a staple for catching late fall walleyes.
Okay, I got one going here, guys.
Do you got one going?
Yeah.
Attaboy. Got him?
Yeah.
And if the bite is really going, spoons can be a great option as well.
Daryl, why don't you get the net, man?
Gonna need the net on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna need a net on this one, definitely.
However, for local guide Marty Clauson, retired walleye tournament pro angler Daryl Christensen, and Hall of Fame angler Gary Parsons,
Chubs are good. Chubs and fall go together, man.
this converging Clearwater adventure is adding another brand new dimension.
Attaboy, Gary.
Got 'em.
As far as presentation, that has been all the rage this past tournament season.
He couldn't resist it coming down the second time. He doesn't feel super big, but he's the right color.
All right.
Wow.
Just like ice fishing, Gary.
Yeah. Tick.
Irregardless the presentation, whether it's spoons, jigs, or shiver minnows, there are existing patterns that are pretty reliable for locating walleyes this time of year.
Our fishing up here in Walleyes County with this clear water, I'm looking for something adjacent to where the fish are during the summertime, whether it be weed lines along the shoreline where you get them, offshore humps, where there's weeds, where there's rocks. Wherever the bait fish was, wherever you were catching those fish in the summertime, those fish are going to be someplace fairly close to there. They're usually on the steepest drop-offs where that break line comes down and drops down into 20 feet. It could be that shallow, you know, depending on the depth of the lake that you're fishing. It could be all the way out to 50 feet, and, you know, don't overlook that deeper water. The fish will be there. You just got to spend a little time, look for them. The fish will bite.
Here's one. Oh, yeah.
You got one, Daryl?
Yep.
Of the three presentations, spoons are so far proving the least effective.
You spooning or jigging now?
Jigging.
You're jigging now?
However, that isn't always the case.
Okay, here he is.
As the specifics which have been tried and trued over years of tournament fishing and guiding behind the how and why, Daryl and Marty approach spoon and jig fishing are an invaluable, all-inclusive introduction to catching these fall Clearwater walleyes.
It's the fall of the year, and it's my favorite time to fish jigging spoons. Not all jigging spoons are the same. They can be an 1/8 ounce all the way up to 3 ounces, depending on the size fish you want to catch, the depth of water you're fishing. So you have to adjust to that. And you also have to adjust to what the fish want. I mean, if they're feeding on big bait fish, bigger spoon. Small bait fish, smaller spoon. Dirty water lakes or dark water lakes, I like using gold. Clear water lakes, I like using silver. Cloudy days, gold. Sunny days, silver. When fishing jigging spoons, you want to use a fairly stiff rod, especially if you're using a heavier spoon. Anything over 3/4 of an ounce, you want to go stiff. Spinning rods for me are the best. 7 foot, something long, something medium to medium heavy is a good choice because you just get a better snap action on it than you would with a lighter rod. Generally stick with 10 to 15 pound test. If I'm using the really big spoons, I'll go to 15. Gives the spoon a little slower drop, the density of the line. When you're using lighter stuff, you don't want it to drop that slow, so I'll drop back down to maybe 10. Even 8 pound test in really, really cold water. So in the fall of the year, jigging spoons is my favorite way to go, especially in post turnover. Marty Clauson from Boulder Junction, Vilas County area has a different way of catching these fish during post turnover.
You know, as Daryl says, there's nothing that's more fun than a spoon bite. And when they're on the spoon, I love the spoon. But I have to live up here and I have to catch these fish all the time, whether it be perfect conditions or conditions like this, which is tough. Bluebird sky's always tough, but my go-to bait is always a jig. And this time of year, a chub, a nice bigger bait, just seems to work a little bit better, but you gotta work it slow, and it's painstakingly slow. I like a nice stand-up jig. Chub will actually stand up off the bottom at a 45-degree angle rather than just laying on the bottom. And I don't like to use too big of jigs, just about 4 to 6, maybe 8-inch hops on the bottom, and make that jig and minnow look like a dying minnow, because it's easier to take a dying minnow than it is. You know, that's the ones that they're going to hit. My bread and butter bait, and it's easier for my clients to fish too.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury, #1 on the water. Amsoil, performance for serious adventure. Tracker boats, fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. Berkeley, catch more fish. Mustad, stay sharper longer. Lowrance, find, navigate, dominate. Motor Guide Trolling Motors, engineered for anglers. Strike King, legacy of domination for 50 years. And Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. While traditionally jigs and spoons are the tackle choice when casting late fall walleyes,
I knew you were going to like this.
I'm starting to get the hang of it.
Yep.
This took a little while. Who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
the aggressive action to get a walleye's attention, followed by a wounded gliding fall, is one of the key reasons Shiver minnows are proving effective when compared shoulder to shoulder.
These are so fun. I mean, whopping them on the big ones, I get tired, so I go to a little one where you can work it a little slower and use a lighter rod, and you still get them.
This is truly a unique addition to the otherwise standard lineup, especially given that Daryl, Marty, and Gary are finishing their retrieves by vertical jigging at the side of the boat.
Hey, it feels like a pretty good one too, guys.
All right.
Yeah, I like the first stroke. I just changed this to this size, this larger #3, and casted it out because I wanted to work this deeper water a little quicker. And I just made one, let it sink to the bottom, made one stroke, and boink.
You know, that's walleye.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Nice fish.
He T-boned it, that's why he came up to the surface. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a good fish.
Oh, he popped off here too.
Come right off.
Yeah,
Wow.
he T-boned the thing. I saw he had the treble hook in his mouth, and then that popped out, and then the other hook was hooked in his side a little bit, on the side of his gill. This is the one, this is a size 3. It's the size that Keith and I used to win that tournament, first and second in that tournament at Escanaba. But, you know, taking it up to the northern Wisconsin lake, it's Clear Lake, time of year where you think you should be using live bait, and these things work. It's just amazing to me.
Being a guide up here, it's hard to believe until I see it. But boy, Gary, you've made me a believer.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. Good
It's
stuff.
a cool casting bit. You know, I came up here this fall to fish with Daryl and Marty because these late fall Wisconsin bites are almost always jig fishing, which is a blast. Or if the bite's really on, spoons are going good. So, you know, I was kind of looking forward to the trip. One of the techniques that became a real surprise here in the last year in the tournament scene, but is carrying on into the fall in an unbelievable fashion, is the use of these little moonshine shiver minnows. These baits are pretty unique. There's really not anything else like them. There's other horizontal jigging baits, that catch fish, especially when you use them in a vertical application. But this is actually a casting bait. By accident, found out about it. You know, that's what it was designed for. And one of the biggest surprises of the trip so far is how effective they are on the fish. It's an aggressive technique. You can fish it fast. You can fish it in shallow or deep water. So it's definitely something that's different. It's a cross between the jig itself and working the jig with some sweeps, or the jigging spoon. It's kind of got the dropping action of a jigging spoon, but yet when you pull it up forward, it looks like a little minnow getting away. So it's kind of an in-between technique, but it's been deadly so far.
The Real Deal, real fishing information from real fishing experts, presented by AmSoil.
I'm getting ready to go traipsing through the woods tomorrow, and I'm conditioning my boots. I do it all the time with AmSoil silicone spray. This stuff locks out moisture. It's actually a good lubricant also for non-metal surfaces. The other thing that I like to use a lot for metal surfaces is the AmSoil MP. It's their metal protector. Any light-duty oil applications, it's great for like cleaning guns, freeing up rusty hinges, that sort of thing. Anytime you'd like to use a light oil type spray, this stuff is the ticket. And then we have the beast of the group. We've got AmSoil MP Metal Protector HD. It actually leaves a waxy coat and protects like motorcycle chains. I use it for the 3-point hookup on my tractor. That tractor sits outside all the time because I don't have enough room in the shop. So when I leave it out there for any extended time period, I'm spraying the back of the 3-point. I'm spraying all the areas that need protection. I use it on the hook hitches on my trucks. Anything where you want some heavy duty protection, this stuff is the ticket.
While casting jigs with live bait and shiver minnows are outwardly two totally different presentations.
Okay. Yeah. Boy, they're liking that purple.
The darn shiver minnow was almost as long as he was,
Yeah.
but he sure wanted it.
Well, there's a school of them in here this size, isn't there?
Yeah.
The cadence that Daryl, Marty, and Gary are using to work their mix of lures back to the boat is generally the same, save the specific action unique to the tackle.
Jigmeister comes through every time.
Oh,
Bigger
man.
fish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bigger. Look at that, biggest fish of the day, and I'm just getting started.
However, any areas with more weeds are still better approached via jigs for nothing else than being less prone to snags.
There we go.
Yeah. I like
There
that.
we got
Did you
him.
get the net, Daryl?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Nice
That's a
job.
pretty decent fish. So, Marty, does that make you a Jumpmeister then?
I'm not sure that I want to be too proud of that one.
Yeah, that's kind of a dubious title.
It is.
Well, whether you're fishing a jigging spoon, a shiver minnow, or a blade bait, one of the things we like to do is cast up into a little bit shallower water or along the edge of a break, and then work that bait back, let it fall to the bottom, hit bottom, snap it up, crank up a little line and let it free fall. Sometimes the fish will hit it on the drop, other times they'll hit it as it hits bottom, it'll just suck it up off the bottom. One of the key things though is once you get it back to the boat, don't just crank it in. Vertical jig it sometimes as many as 10 to 12 times, just up and down, because those fish will sometimes follow it and you gotta entice them into hitting that bait. And a lot of our biggest fish have come right underneath the boat, even though we've been working the bait up and down the break.
In contrast to the traditional general structure, walleyes are known for loitering around this time of year, taking locating fish to the next level by effectively utilizing your sonar and maps together can mean not only expanding your spots to fish.
Marty, I think we should go try to find some more.
That sounds good.
We might find a school and cherry pick a couple of the bigger ones out of it.
But even raising the bar for size on an otherwise cookie cutter sized bite.
Big eyes, he just couldn't help himself. Saw that chub and he got the big eyes. There's one.
Ooh, that looks like a decent one.
Feels like a pretty good one.
Awesome.
You need a net?
Yeah, I better get the net.
All right.
You ready?
I think I can get this one.
Okay. Here he comes. Right, that's right. Jeez, Marty. That's like the whippiest net job I've ever seen.
Net them fast, net them slow. You're gonna have to tell me.
God, you guys are like the reincarnation of grumpy old men.
They ain't gonna bite you.
That's it, I'm done.
I'm telling you. I'm going to show you exactly how we're locating these fish and pinpointing them. So I'm going to have to drive around to do that. We're going to put the camera right on the screen the whole time so you can see how dynamic this is and how the story will unfold right before your eyes. So we're going to go actually drive around, pinpoint some fish, and then we'll start fishing them when we're done. But you're going to find this to be a really, really helpful tip for your electronics use. This is what we're looking for right here. We're looking for these fish coming off the edge. Now, advanced sonar electronics is you basically push that, it drops a cursor on that fish. So instead of looking for structure, we're actually looking for fish too. You can see I've froze the screen here with the cursor. Now all I do is go over to waypoint, hit it twice, and since all of my units are connected, it drops a waypoint exactly on that fish. You can see I've got a zoomed in version here on my map and a zoomed in version there on my map. So I've got that fish pegged right there, and there's a bunch of fish next to it. So now I just go back to my sonar, I clear that cursor, it brings me right back to the graph where you can see that's been scrolling. So all I need to do to go and find and relocate those fish is to drive right back to that waypoint, and I've got those fish pegged perfectly. So we've got these fish pegged now. Daryl and Marty are already up casting and getting ready to catch the fish. That's exactly how you nail them. You look for them. With these electronics, you peg them and you go back and fish exactly where they are. You're not even necessarily looking at just the structure anymore, but you're nailing the fish on top of the structure. And that's where it's at in today's world of electronics.
Hot topics, leading information, and tackle and techniques to make you a better angler. Presented by Mercury.
You know, this is the time of year, it's middle of fall, that dealers like Sportomotive and guys like Kurt are seeing a lot of boats and motors come in for winterization. And it's really important to do that in these winter months to keep your engines running good from year to year. Now, Kurt, really, it's a pretty simple process, but it's really important for these anglers to do each off season to keep those engines running correctly. And we're looking at a 4-stroke right here. People have 2 strokes. Basically, what goes into the process of what you guys look for when you're winterizing these engines?
We're looking for, like, the big thing is the lower unit grease. If we notice any water in there, obviously we're going to address it, you know, seals, whatever, right away in the fall. That way in the spring when people want to get in their boats, they're ready to go. We also make sure the fuel systems are all stabilized and ready to go. With the 2 strokes, we fog the cylinders, being as the cranks don't get the oiling of the 4 strokes.
Sure.
So we spray fogging oil through the carburetors to get them lubed up, and that way come spring, all the people have to do is charge their batteries and make sure they are charged, hit the key and go. Worry-free of broken lower units or anything else.
Sure, so I mean, like you mentioned, 2 strokes and 4 strokes, there's a little bit different procedure that guys like Kurt will do. So pay attention to that, but really it's important. Like he said, when springtime comes and that ice goes off the water and those walleyes are ready to bite, if you winterize the engines, bring them into dealers, these Mercury dealers like Sportomotive, they'll have your boat ready to go as soon as that ice is off, and you can go out and catch a lot of walleyes.
With so much nonstop action, casting jigs and Shiver minnows for late fall clearwater walleyes.
Hey Marty, you're right.
Oh, geez.
Going over the side.
Feels pretty good. It actually is pretty good.
Nice presentation there, Marty.
Thank you.
That.
Did you see my jig in action?
The only real breaks to be had are the ones that the walleyes are coming off of.
Get him, get him. Nice.
Oh wow, that's
Nice
a good
net
fish.
job.
Yeah.
Glad you didn't learn the net job from me.
You really angled that one, Marty. That's the beauty of chubs right there.
Yeah, nice fish.
Yeah, that's a nice looking fish right there.
The collaboration of this company of veteran anglers has been as informative as it has been entertaining.
Here's my point. I'm already in there graphing for fish, Daryl. Took a little siesta.
Gary, Marty, and Daryl each bringing their own perspective and preferences into the fold for catching as many of these Vilas County walleyes as their time together could allow.
That feels better.
Yep.
That actually does feel better.
That is a good ticket, or was he just there when
He
you
was
left?
just there.
Huh.
All right, there he is, Marty.
I got him.
You got him? Attaboy.
There we go.
All right.
You notice
Yeah,
that
that's a
nice,
pretty
smooth
nice fish.
netting action there?
Oh yeah, he's a nice wide body.
All right. Oh, that's a nice fish, eh?
Yeah, that's a great fish.
I can't believe I said that.
I can't either.
All I can do about this show is laugh. Fishing with these two guys is like having battling clowns in the boat. One's knocking the other one's fish off.
You ready?
You tried. Get out of here. Get out of here.
And they're constantly telling like old timer jokes and stuff. The worst part is I understand them. I was there at the time. So I hope you learned something. It really is nice getting the combined knowledge of all these guys on this fall type bite. But man, you want to have a good time. This place in fall is the place to be.
See, the secret here is the cherry lollipop. I'm rubbing it on the minnow before I put it on there.
Take your own fish off the hook.
I like the humpback fish.
Kind of an unexpected deal is the emergence.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of hacky.
And that's not a turtle.
It's a spider.
They're getting so old they can barely catch fish, but they sure make you laugh.
The next bite would like to thank Marty Clauson of Marty Clauson Fishing Adventures, specializing in smallmouth bass, muskie, and walleye out of Boulder Junction, Wisconsin. For easy and direct contact information for Marty, visit clausonfishing.com.